Those who know performance know AMD Ryzen. Get the latest gaming laptops powered by AMD Ryzen processors.
Hello and welcome. The underdogs of Union will be looking to usurp the behemoths of Velocity. As you can tell from the accent, this cast will at least be upwards of 50% blighty. However, the only blight on my mind is that unfortunately this will be the final game of the day. Luckily for us, it's a banger. I'm your caster Crabber 3, joined by the wonderfully talented Sam. How do you feel about this one, bud?
I'm super duper excited. We were just talking right before the game started, right? This is going to be one hell of a show when we start off here, how Velocity is going to be playing as well as Union. Both these teams have been invited here, Kramer. So I'm looking forward to how they're going to be starting off. Both of them have no clue about how they're going to be starting off and what their, I would say, map picks are going to be. But yes, we're going to be diving into it very soon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Something I am really interested to see is how Fade is going to influence both the veto patterns as well as the agent compositions for both of these teams. As you mentioned, they've been directly invited, so there's very little real, if any, on both of these teams on this current patch.
Yeah, I mean, we've not had an idea what they're working with, and especially there's also been a quite recent addition here at Velocity that's going to be MWN coming in. The firepower has increased over there. So how is that, I would say, synergy building, and is going to be something that we're looking forward to. And also, I'm super duper excited. We saw Fade on the map of Icebox, where we started things off on the first match itself, full power. They did try to make it work, but eventually it did fall apart against Orangutan. The start was good, but again, Fade has still to kind of get accustomed to the meta of the other players who have been playing around for such a long time.
You're absolutely right. Something that interested me as well was Icebox isn't really a Fade map, is it?
Yeah.
So it felt like they were really trying to shoehorn Fade as their composition. However, they're playing for money here, Sam, and in a moment we'll be able to see just how much they are actually playing for. Of course, if you leave this place in first place, you'll be walking home with 30,000 smackaroonies. At least that's the total prize. Well, first place is 15,000 smackaroonies. In second place, $7,500. Third place, 3,000, as well as fourth place. The MVP will be getting $500, as well as the best IGL and emerging player. And I really, really like this. I really like the fact that we're able to award kind of IGLs who are able to really show some strategy, because you never see an IGL get MVP because they're not the ones who frag out. Instead, their victory comes in the strat books and in executions.
Yeah, I mean, they get the accomplishments, they get the congratulations from everybody, they get commended for what they put up and brought out in this particular game. But this is going to be something that I'm also looking forward to. But all of this will be given access to, I mean, the teams who come on the top 4 will be unlocking this only in the LAN. That's going to be the phase 3. And not only that, Kramer, the first 2 teams here, they're going to be jumping into the VCT stage 2 APAC Challengers. That's the bigger ball here to be playing around with, and let's see who's going to be doing it. Especially this group stage is the start of it.
Sam, I can't help but think I picked up on a word you said there. Was that LAN for stage 3?
Yes.
LAN for stage 3. That is something to look forward to. Of course, this is the third game of today. In match 1, Orangutan were able to take down Full Power 2-0. Shortly after that, Global Esports were able to topple Valor 2-0 as well. Of course, Orangutan and Global Esports proving to be 2 of the really big hitters in this tournament thus far. So these results aren't too surprising. With Orangutan being a fairly new roster, I'm actually very impressed at their toppling of Full Power. However, I can't help but think that Full Power did sort of play into Orangutan's strengths there by trying to force a fade on Icebox.
Yeah, that did. The start, as we discussed, it did work out, but then it fell all apart. I mean, Orangutan were able to kind of adapt over the time and then immediately close out both the maps in their name. And Global as well, they started off pretty well, and the match that just got concluded, the second map especially, a zero duelist setup is what they were playing with. I mean, again, we considered Chamber coming in as a pseudo duelist. Irrespective of how much of you give him the role of a sentinel, those 2 big guns that he packs is more than enough to take down an entire squad.
No, you're absolutely right. And playing without a duelist, it's not a terrible idea. There are very, very specific scenarios where it does work. However, it's not a sort of strategy you can pick up and then play. It requires a lot of prep work, and it requires a kind of a very specific set of players to be able to make it work. And for me, when I look at full power, I think of some incredible aim. Like these guys,
Yes.
even back when they were playing on Exploit, they were a very, very, very good team of aimers. So much so that they were able to kind of out aim the likes of SK Rossi in some regards.
Oh,
However,
yes.
let's focus on this current game. Let's take a look at Velocity. These guys definitely players to worry about.
Oh, all big names, and I'm pretty sure well right now known in especially the SA region, starting off their IGL Amaterasu, followed by Deathmaker, LFF, then MW1 who are just talking about it, and their clutch Mastro, right to ace. This man plays the Sova, and you have to fear him, especially when the Hunter Fury comes out.
You're absolutely right. And for me, the player to watch out for is both Deathmaker and Right to Waste. As you mentioned, Right to Waste plays a nasty Sova. And when you're a duelist, having good aim is great and all that. But almost if your kills are set up by knowing where your opponents are beforehand, it just makes your life even easier. Valorant isn't a game about chivalry. You need to always try and find a way to make the fight unfair. And in Right to Waste's case, it's making the entire team at a disadvantage, their entire opponent's team at a disadvantage, just because of the quality of his info gather.
Oh, I mean, he's been a brilliant initiator for this team, and he's been playing exceptionally well. But now I want to kind of shed light on this. Scrummer is going to be MW1. He's another firecracker of that team.
Yeah.
What he's going to be playing now with Deathmaker being online. We'll discuss more about that, but right now you're seeing Union Gaming's roster right in front of your screen. Bench, Scrim, Chromes, Kuf, as well as Roach. These are going to be your 5 players who are going to be representing Union. It's one hell of a team coming in from Sri Lanka, and they're going to be making sure here in the Skyesports Champions Series, trying to take down every team, because we did talk about it, right? The phase 3 is LAN, and we want to see these teams come out on LAN.
Something else to highlight is that this is the only Sri Lankan team in the tournament, so they're here to represent. And something else that I quite like about this team as well is the fact that they've been directly invited after a good performance in Stage 1, means that there's very little info on these guys. I mean, we've seen a few regional tournaments, but this, for me, is the ripe recipe for a underdog team that can just upset team after team after team. So if I am in Velocity's position right now, I would be focusing so hard on making sure that you don't underestimate Union here.
I agree with you on that, Kramer, because Union, you yourself right now as Velocity have been adapting to the newest player coming through, synergizing with it, and also them having the analyst and their coach right now also coming in. They're trying to make things work over there with CA and Sleepy as well. But on the other end, Union, as you said, they've been playing in the local ones. But here, when we talk about the chance to get over to stage 2, there's a lot of, I would say, cooking being done in the kitchen where nobody knows. There's no slightest scent being sent out, right? Nobody can smell what's happening. But when they come out with all guns blazing, you might be surprised. So let's see what they're going to be packing with you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Also, let's be honest, Sia and Sleepy, as a combo, is a scary group of analysts to go against, right? So, if you're on Union, you need to be popping out your thesis, you need to pop out your degree, you need to find a way to outsmart Velocity, because it is going to be bloody difficult, that's for sure.
Oh, then I mean, I'm looking forward to the map veto as well, Kramer, because this is right now kind of bringing me in a position where what's going to be happening, what is going to be Union playing on. And if we go in the data that has worked out for them, there can be a couple of maps coming through. But because both these teams are going to be starting off here in the phase 2 itself, there's nothing in terms of the qualifiers that we talk about it. So we should be very soon getting into the veto. But if I would have want to kind of understand from your perspective, Kramer, what would be kind of your picks, do you think? Because in general, we have seen only the general maps which have been playing around currently in the meta, and also throughout it's going to be classic and vanilla maps, not something as Fracture and Breeze still coming out here in the phase 2 as well.
I think if I am Velocity, I'm going to try and force a Fracture or a Breeze, because you know that Union, they have a very good split, they have a very good ascent, but outside of those 2 maps, they've put up some lackluster performances, frankly. So if I'm Velocity, my sole objective here is to try and force Union to a map they're uncomfortable on. I mean, even when it comes to the stats, they have 0 results on Fracture. Even if Velocity aren't incredible at Fracture, so long as they know how to play it, they could very well throw it as a curveball to Union to see how they react.
I think so too. Because if you bring Fracture or even Breeze per se, even though it's such a big map and kind of being left out, I don't like that Kremer because it's such an interesting
Mm,
map, right? It gives you
yeah,
so many possibilities to run around the map,
yeah.
but still, all the teams right now kind of not picking up. I'm a little bit disheartened. I don't want that happening. Such a wonderful, also. I mean, it has one of the
Yeah.
best sceneries in the entire, I would say, map pool right now.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? If the map looks pretty, then it plays pretty. That's I don't make the rules, I just preach them. Something I want to highlight as well,
Mhm.
particularly for Velocity, is these guys don't have an instaban. They play every map in the pool, which
Yes.
means that trying to veto against them is gonna be so difficult. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think there's a single map, at least if we're going by kind of general statistics, where in the last 3 months they're boasting less than about 60% win rate. So if you're
Exactly.
Union, this is a real tough nut to crack. Best case scenario for them would be probably opening of Split followed by Ascent, then
Yes.
potentially maybe even a Haven or a Bind as a
Mhm.
third. But yeah, we've seen the kind of minds behind Velocity. There's no way they're going to allow that to slip the net.
I agree with you, especially with Ascent. We know, right? They've not had a good time, and they were kind of completely banning out Ascent when we saw them. But after that, they've adapted over the time period, and right now, it feels, as you said, completely all the maps is looking good for them. It's going to be very difficult to take
Yeah,
them down. But I feel like now, being at this point of the tournament, they're going to be preparing for it a lot, right? Irrespective that
yeah.
they have a coach as well as an analyst on velocity, they might be bringing in new things, but still Union,
Mm,
there can be kind of those wild cards that you have no idea about. They're the
yeah.
jokers that in your deck of playing cards that you'll never have an idea until it's kind of shown, and then you're like, okay, wow, that's not
Yeah,
something that I thought it was under
absolutely.
the belt.
Yeah, if I'm on Union, I'm going to try and play that to my advantage. I think if they
Yes.
practice a lot of just a random map like Breeze, like Fracture, maybe even if you go back far enough, maybe they just play Bind a lot.
Hmm.
Just a map which is outside of their statistical two best maps means that you can bring it into a series with a lot of preparation, which your opponents may not expect. However, that's enough speculation from us, Sam. Let's head into this veto and see just where this war will be waged.
Exactly, map veto. I'm looking forward to it. I hope there's an ascent. I hope there's a okay, it's here in front of the screens. I was thinking about
Ooh.
Split, but Split is going to be the first ban coming here from Velocity. They know there's going to be a good map, and they don't want to give a chance here for Union Gaming. Immediate right off the bat, they're going to be banning off Split.
Something that does surprise me is the Union's pick of Haven here.
Mm.
Their Ascent is statistically better than their Haven, so I
Yes.
would have rather have seen Ascent second map, Haven third map. Maybe just so Union have a little bit of extra comfort. Bear in mind as well, because they're on the second, because the second map is their pick. If they win that, they go to the third map with momentum, with confidence. For Velocity, I mean, let's be honest, Haven, it's not a map that they don't play. You know, they've played it, I think, 100 times recently, you know,
Yes.
with almost a 75% win rate. Like, these guys are bloody good when it comes to Haven. If I'm on Union, my hope here is to win Haven, and by some miracle win Haven, and then go to
Mhm.
Ascent, go to your home ground, and then that's where you can really bring out the big guns. But for now, it's just objective survive, get to Ascent.
Yes. That's going to be the all three maps. I hope we go there because Union, that's, I would say right now, the best bet, right? But still, if they have to win any one of these maps, they should make sure that Velocity never realizes what's happening. That's how they should be
Yeah,
quick. They should be on their toes. Any counter stat coming through, their Velocity might not be prepared for it. They think that, okay, 3 times we've been seeing the Jet being pushing from shower, and all of a sudden there's nobody over there, and all of a sudden there's Jet coming through from a shot, and you've kept your backs open. Done is the round. And I think if this happens, Kremer, maybe even Bind can be a very close cut battle. But as we were talking in terms of how they've shared and how they've paired on Bind, not that great for Union. Anytime that we have seen, they've tried to come close, but it's not fared well for them.
you're absolutely right. Sam, now we have seen this veto. I want to put you on the spot a little bit here. Who do you think is winning this series, and what do you think the map results are going to be?
To start off, I think Vine is going to be the momentum builder for Velocity. That's where they're going to be winning it.
Hmm.
Even though it's on the attacking side that they have to start off, we know, right? At this moment, however the map looks like, whether it's attacking favored or defense favored, it's how teams play it out in their own comfort. And once
Yeah.
they start doing it, it does not matter whether it's attack or defense. So right now, Velocity might be winning the first game. Heaven, I'm looking forward to it and hoping it to go to overtime and then playing in Union's card, and then we head over to Ascent. But somewhere down the line, it feels like if Velocity, I mean, fan favorites right now as well, if they start off in a great momentum and Union are able to counter, I think this can be in a 2-0 as well.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, and actually to further the point of what you said on Bind for Velocity here, is when you have played Bind as much as Velocity have, I would argue it doesn't actually matter what half you start on, because you've got so much experience to rely upon that you've been in almost every circumstance you can imagine, and it's down to Union now to throw out some really crazy kind of curveball defenses. I'm inclined to agree with you as well. I think Velocity probably take this 2-0. I would love to see an upset. I would absolutely love to see an upset, but I don't know if this is the place for it to happen. In the chat, if you want to let us know what you think the results are going to be, I know we've broken the fourth wall here. I do read the chat. I glance at it from time to time. I know you're not meant to, but well, who cares for rules? They're more like guidelines anyway.
Yeah.
Of course. As you mentioned, yeah, I think Velocity 2-0. Something I would really like to see here from the members of Union is you go to your opponent's map pick, you sort of know what maps they're going to be leaning towards just on win rates alone. I would love to see a really, really aggressive defense where they're just constantly fighting for map control. They're not giving Velocity any space to breathe, and that's sort of how you mitigate the effectiveness that their set executions and their set strategies are going to have.
It's going to be very crucial of how they kind of pan out in their strategies. But there's one thing I want to mention here, Kramer, is going to be on Union, that even though right now we don't see a double duelist setup coming through, right? There are a couple of players who can play the double duelist setup from Union based on their previous games. And we've also seen them playing with Reyna. Chromes is one of their very crucial, I would say. Again, we keep talking about clutch masters in terms of the initiator, but Chromes is one of those players who toggles between the sentinel as well as the duelist depending on the map. So I feel like he's going to be coming in here with the race, and that is very effective. He kind of top frags as well, irrespective who that jet duelist is, and they do tend to lean over to the double duelist setup where they becomes very aggressive with them. But do you think it's still going to be working out, especially with Fade here as well, KO as well, to try and deny all the utilities for in terms of entry, or even in case you are trying to do something new or maybe confusing?
I would be very surprised if we see Fade with this veto. I think Fade has a very, very good split.
Yes.
And we sometimes see her in Ascent, but I don't know if both Haven and Bind are opening maps are going to be the place for her. What I would love to see instead is I want to see some good utilization of Breach. Something we see a lot in SEA, something that's sort of slowly becoming the norm in Europe. I really think that Breach at the moment, particularly on Haven, is ever so slightly underrated. So for me, it's the Breach you've got to watch out for rather than the Fade.
I still remember when Breach came into play, Kramer. He was so self-sufficient. Everybody was annoyed with him. They were not able to control him. And Riot understood that, deploy the necessary patches. But still, he is still self-sufficient in certain cases, and especially with his, I would say, wide ultimate of Rolling Thunder coming through, it still is enough for you to clear a site. Whether it be retake or whether it be for getting into the site, it does not matter. So that's going to be one crucial agent coming through. But again, I feel like there should be races coming in from both the ends, because this is a map, it has kind of worked out for Raze when they live up that Jet, and that's that's the meta we are right now tending to go to, right? Where Jet is kind of being switched for particular maps, not going all the way in all maps. They're bringing in particular maps where Jets can play, and then there are certain maps where they play with other duelists, or maybe not even a duelist, or maybe a Neon coming through. But here, Bind, there's one more choice. I don't know if you're going to be agreeing with me or if you're going to be seconding me in terms of can it happen? It's going to be Yoru. Some teams have started picking that Yoru as a duelist here.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I think it's interesting to see it. I'm a little bit apprehensive as to whether or not it'll actually happen. I think if you were to try something new, we are opening the group stage today. So you do still have the safety net of being able to kind of play 2-3 more games before you actually have to face the prospect of elimination. So if I am in Union's shoes, opening game, you're against one of the favorites, try something new, try something hybrid. I would love to see this sort of zero respect just mush their faces to their opponents and try to just barrel stuff as much as possible. For me, that's how Union should be playing this. The more respect they give Velocity, the worse off they're actually going to be.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's something that we understand, that they've been a good team, and I mean, they've been winning a lot. So you give respect to them, that's understandable. But if you give in your own map and then if you give it in your own matchup when you're having, they're going to be steaming roll right against you and winning the whole matchup and then running away with the point. And you don't want to give away the point. As you said rightly, this is their kind of do or die not situation right now. They're still not at the end. So they can play it out as they want. They can experiment as much as they want, but still they should try and limit it as much as possible to get velocity out and take a couple of maps under control. Otherwise, velocity, as we said, they're going to be running past just as the bullet train. I mean, you might not even see them.
No, you're absolutely right. I want to highlight something as well, is in VCT Stage 1, Union and Velocity were actually in the same group. They were both in Group B. Yes. But Union was able to actually dodge playing against Velocity for that entire group stage. I think they had to play against everyone but Velocity. So this is a chance for Velocity to sort of pin Union into a corner and stop them from running. Yeah. So now they're forced to play against one another. In just a moment, we'll be getting into game. I can't wait for this one, Sam.
I think we're going to be getting in very soon. Right now that we have all map veto as well, we should be jumping into the agent selection as well. But as you just thinking about what's going to be happening in the agent selection itself here, Kramer, what do you feel like? We've been discussing that there's been a double duelist, especially from Union, and now with MW1 also being that. We know a couple of times, I mean, when we've been scrimming, we've kind of got an idea about what MW1's role will be. But still, do you think there is a possibility, slightest in the hindsight, that this can be a double duelist? What do you think?
I like the double duelist, particularly on Haven. I think Haven is great for double duelist. In terms of bind, it's completely down to preference. Double duelist has been done before, and it's worked before. It's completely up to how Velocity or Union want to play this. We're going to head into the agent select, though, Sam, and let's see if your predictions are correct. Are you an Oracle, or are you just grasping at straws? We'll see in just a second. And the fate comes out on both teams. That's really surprising. I like the raise, chamber, and fade on Velocity. I think they're really pushing the boat out with this one. It does put a lot of pressure on your Sky and Brimstone to work for info gather, because the only kind of passive info gather you have at the moment is going to be the Trailblazer over on Amaretsu. And I just can't help but think that it means that a lot of the info from Velocity is going to be attained by shoulder peeking, which is never going to be it's never a favorable position to be in. But, of course, if they can make the fade work, I would love to see it. Love to see it happen.
From both the ends. That I was not expecting, Kramer. That's going to be a surprise, as you said. But there's a double initiator setup in terms of Sova still retained from Union Gaming. On the other side, we saw, right, Sky was coming into picture. But this is the change that was there, is that we're not seeing the Brimstone, the controller, being played from LFF. It's being played from right to waist, the clutch master. The Brimstone is coming in. These slight changes that they've brought in, and LFF playing on the initiator where we've seen him either sentinel or a controller. This is the surprise. It was not ready, but it looks like both of them are geared up and set to start off in the first round itself. 10 seconds here. What's going to be the first half prediction from your end, Kramer?
I've got to lean to Velocity. They are the favourites here. But Sam, we are finally in game. Welcome to Bind, a double fade matchup. Almost counts as a double duelist, really, if you're counting the chamber as well from Velocity. And with a fairly fast defense, it's going to be Union for a little bit of info gather now, just to try and get this ultimate.
But Deathmaker, what was the timing? He gets that headhunter, immediately takes a player down. Good use of the headhunter on that duelist.
Love the investment from LF there. And, well, with a quick shutdown, Union Gaming, 2 players down. And when you are 2 players down now, it's just a matter of stacking your site, hoping for the best. They've rolled the dice gone to B. It's a little bit of a lurk from Chromes here, just to potentially catch out anyone overextending on A. But as the U-Seal comes through, Chromes realizes that he's very alone with a lot of very angry Velocity players.
Yeah, and there's no numbers as well. Look at them. They've taken U-Haul control completely. Oh, Deathmaker, he should not have missed that. There's kind of chance here, but look at the health. I mean, that second shot should have connected. He should have taken a player down, trying to get things under control, but his health is super low. And the boom bot also, it does not do anything.
Spike carrier's down.
Spike down A.
Yusef chimes back in.
30
With
seconds.
the Sky able to trade, suddenly Union are making this a little bit more contentious than it actually is. With low HP on the Sky and on the Rays now, this first spell accuracy is going to be everything. Quick rotation from Velocity, they set their gaze to B, the breach smokes don't quite land in time. So for Union now, it's all on Benji, the only man who has HP, who has the capacity to take an engagement here. What's out the first? Traded by Helef, and that really should be all that she wrote here, unless Chromes can bring out something frankly wizard.
He just has splashbacks to play here with. I mean, what will he do with the satchel? He might just jump into B-long, but that's about the end. He used all his utilities way too early. And yes, he did find one frag, but that's not enough right now. He has to take 2 players down, and they're good in terms of their health. That's a 3 for LF and the first for Velocity. They're going to be not starting off on a very great note, but still, the first round is under their control, so they're going to be buying up now.
What I really like from that round as well is that Union showed Velocity that you can't get too cocky. The second Velocity stagnated a little bit there, pushing up the A short. They instantly traded, and Union were able to strike back. However, it's down to a bonus now. A couple of pistols come out from Union. Maybe the objective here would be just get a kill, maybe save a Spectre, just soften the blow, and try and harm Velocity's economy a little bit for what will be your full buy next round. The objective here, 2 kills and a spike plant. Anything less, it's not the end of the world. Anything more, absolutely brilliant.
I agree with you. I mean, take on a lot in terms of the economy, it's going to be brilliant. But right now, I do love the switch up of Deathmaker. But look at this entry. You have the information, you just act upon it. Right away takes one, Helef as well takes one. And look at this, MW1 storms in. And this is what we talk about, that they have a chance of right now having the double duelist, and they're making it work.
Absolutely right. Now, I like the play from Chrome's there, just try and get into the gob of an opponent. Maybe you're able to finish off MW1. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so. Velocity with a 2-0 lead. Move in to play their bonus now against the likes of Union. Something to highlight as well is because Velocity have been able to spread out these frags relatively successfully, it means that we're going to not really be seeing any ults from this team until kind of round 4, round 5, which means that for Union, that does sort of level the playing field a bit here, particularly when they have superior guns.
Exactly. This is the round they need to get it under control. If Union lose anything here, they're going to be giving up not only this bonus, but after that, a free upgrade, and you don't want that happening. And a 3-0 to start things off is not a great one, but still, this is Velocity's map choice. The read is right here, but this chance and taking the shot, he missed that opportunity.
We're already using the heal on the Sage here, so with armor broken, a little bit of a passive stance now. Hoping to exploit a hole in the wall, but Velocity being disciplined, cautious and careful. Not quite committing to a fight here. Really nice paint shells. Is going to force the first player out of position. Sage now isolated. Still able to escape.
Ooh, Chromes pushed up, takes 2 players. Now look at this Deathmaker. This time he does not connect. And now Amaterasu's position is already known. The Spaded comes through, but Bench misses the opportunity. Even though Amaterasu is the last surviving player. Oh, a shot. This is what we love, right?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Shocked up through the teleporter. Lands right at the feet of Amaratsu there. With an ult now available. It's the Nightmare over on Helef now. And something I want to highlight is that a lot of these, with Fade being so new, the proper way to react to someone deploying Nightmare hasn't really been established yet. Some teams, they've been trying to counteract it with a Rolling Thunder. They just deploy at the same time, and it sort of makes pushing inadequate. Some teams have been running the Neon. They try and get in front of the Nightmare. In this case, there's no right way to react. So for Union, this is going to have to be some spontaneous usage, to say the least. Full way from Velocity now. Chance to try and extend a lead.
Especially the Fade right now. I mean, especially how if you put down the Haunt, right? Oh, wait. The ultimate is already used here. They kind of have no information because there's nobody on site. But look at this. It's a hookup push out from the defenders itself. They've taken a player down. But can they do anything else? Because the spike, it has been planted. Right now, it's a corner situation. Amaterasu, he has no clue of what's happening on side, and Chromes has entered. The opportunity is there, and this is why we say you need to use your utilities at the right time. Deathmaker, he does find one as he pushes from elbow. He's still looking for taking a player down. They're looking for defusing it, but Deathmaker is making a little bit of a trouble. But because of the numbers, I think this defuse should be coming in through, and it should be an even Stevens.
2-2, and I really love that round from Chromes, particularly. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of giving zero respect to Velocity, not allowing them to be able to use their executions. And we saw that beautifully from Union there. They anticipated the Nightmare to come in, so they stacks in Hookah, meaning that when the Nightmare is deployed to site, they're both able to avoid it. They then have Chromes go through the teleporter, they engage on short, get it killed, then play with that man advantage once the retake comes into play. And better still, they commit to that retake before Velocity are even able to get into their afterplant positions, which means any afterplant utility is rendered useless. Solid reaction from Union here, and for Velocity now, the pressure's on.
Yeah. Right now, they need to make sure this buy works for them. Deathmaker, he's right now leading the charge. His headhunter after the first round does not work, but right now the Vandal is. Horn gets immediately tonight, so not information. I mean, in terms of where Deathmaker is known. Bench picks up 1, so not an even trade at the same position, but at least the numbers under control.
4-on-4 here, and I can't help but think 4-on-4s usually do favor the attacking side purely because it's a bit easier to overwhelm positions.
Yes.
But Chromes right now with a showstopper available, that is like a instant recipe to get a player advantage. So with the utility being deployed by Velocity here, they're not exactly being quiet about their presence. With the paint shells deployed alongside the flash, it's acutely aware for Union now. The attack's coming, it's coming to A, and it's coming fast.
It is. Chromes has taken another play down, and yes, the spike is not in a great position. Chromes, if he pushes up, he'll know that. But look at this. They've already started taking players down. LF is quick on his heels to react, but that's all. The funky business is stopped from Funny Monkey itself, and that's the third. The lead has been taken.
I'm really liking this from Chromes. I'm really liking Chromes as a player right now. It's everything we said in the pre-game.
Yeah.
Just getting up into the gob of Velocity, not caring about the buy. Hey, Kusa they have a pistol? Doesn't matter to me. Just deploys those blast packs to get right in front of them. Yes, Chromes does fall that round. That's not going to break their confidence. They're 7-3, just 5 rounds in, with a showstopper available. Now, as we enter the 6th round, there is an ult advantage for Velocity. The Tour de Force is going to be deployed, but Union, they are still just hop, skip, and a jump away from being able to equalize that ult count. For now, it's a matter of avoiding that Tour de Force and trying to bait Velocity into an execution before they're able to establish a player advantage.
Yeah, the Tour de Force is going to be very crucial here. Deathmaker is playing in the same position from the start. He loves shower control right now, and he's taken it for himself. He's right now stationed over there. But look at this. There's sound being made towards Hookah, but still, they're not giving away the position, right? I'm loving it. They're just holding it out as long as possible. But still, right now, Funny Monkey, he can be in a very tough situation. Benj was covering him for now, but look at that Funny Monkey's reaction. He kind of isolates. I mean, I don't even know if that's an isolation I can call it, but I don't know why there was not a double push. They gave up a life.
There's a really strong bait and switch as well, and the second that contact was made, Chromes actually extended and took a fight there. Deathmaker forced into a difficult angle because of the shock dart, able to trade onto Chromes now, down to the 3-on-4 for Deathmaker. He is going to be the difference maker in this round. That Tour de Force is going to be so hard to isolate. Hellfire used beautifully. Roach, low on HP, is able to get away, traded by NW1, goes to the 3-on-3 now. Plant goes down, all ults committed now. There's that showstopper, finished off by Kusev. Now, and with the plant cancelled, 23 seconds left on the clock, Velocity, they need to get this spike down as quick as humanly possible, otherwise they're going to be in big trouble. Maxwell is going to commit to it, able to get it down in time, damage done to Deathmaker, however it's not enough to topple him as of yet, able to back off from showers as well, just about able to do so, holding across the back side, right to waist, doubles down now, it's all on to Kusev, good for the first, turns to the second now, knows the Tour de Force is there, unable to get it, hit by the Nightmare, has to try and avoid it now, that spike taps 7 HP, but it does not matter! Deathmaker able to finish off the fade now, bringing Velocity their equalizer 3-3. But let's be honest, Sam, even though it is 3-3, the amount of ults that were committed there. Furthermore, the fact that Velocity even fighting to equalize with a team that statistically they should be thrashing is where the alarm bells will start to rise.
That round was just brilliant coming in. I mean, from both the ends, they tried to control it. As you said, there was just too many ultimates being used. But an immediate timeout, that's not something that we are thinking about. But still, here's what my perspective is, Kremer, that you're on the defensive side, Union. You have the advantage. You need to take a lot more rounds. If you give this attacking half in a couple more rounds here, Velocity are going to be having a better advantage when the switch sides. And you do not want that happening.
Yep, I really like this call by Sia, actually, to go for a timeout once your opponents have won quite a round that comes pretty close. You stop Union from building too much momentum. It also means that as you enter your next buy, you're going to be able to sort of establish how Union have been marking their defense. Now, from what I've seen thus far, it looks like Union, they go for contact on B. The second they get that kill, Chromes pushes up short to try and double down. If they can try and find a way to bait Chromes into pushing, that rate, very good for initiation, does have a little bit of trouble disengaging, particularly when mid-gunfight, unlike the Chamber who is able to just snap fingers and get away. But you look at the damage that last round was able to do. Deathmaker no ult, NW2, NW1 no ult, and over on Union, yes, while they do have Showstoppers, Hunter Series, and Resurrections, that's that Orbital Strike and that Nightfall aren't going to be available almost until midway through this first half.
Exactly, it's going to be very difficult for them. They did use it, but did not find anything. But look at this. This time MW1 reached it. I mean, they were checking it every time. This time get punished for it. But Roach, he gets one connection. But Chromes, he misses this. This is what we were talking about, trying to bait things out, and they did it this time. That tag made Chromes, I guess, push up over there, because of which he thought he could have played and picked up a fight. Misses his shot and opportunity and falls down. And immediately, look at this. There's no control at A. Even though they're trying it, it's just repositionings coming through.
I really like this. I really, really like this. You're deploying the Seekers. You're just being better safe than sorry as the execution descends velocity. They cascade to this A site. LF able to finish off Roach, which puts even more pressure onto both Benjay and the FaZe. Just trying to find an opening now. As for velocity, this is now gloves off. There is no fun in games here. It's a matter of isolating players and killing them. Kusef able to do it for the first. Deathmaker teleports out of there, realizing that you may be the favorites in this series, but you cannot underestimate Union Gaming.
You give them an opportunity, they're going to be walking away and trying to close the round, but right now it's going to be too tough here. The save is the right call, and that's what it's looking at. But I think this round was just too many overextensions coming in from Union Gaming.
Yep.
Even though they got idea about where the players were, you saw the Hunter's Fury being used. It shouldn't have been the case. You're the defender side. You should have picked up more advantage in terms of information. What could have been the case, but they did not do it. And they're going to be paying the price for it and giving back the lead to Velocity.
No, you're absolutely right. I really like how Velocity was also able to isolate the fact that Funny Monkey is playing Hookah a little bit one-dimensionally. They're dropping that wall, they're sitting on top of the wall hoping for a kill, they back off, they then play the bait and switch with Benjay. The fact they're now no longer given the option to do that now means the ball falls into Union Gaming's court. It's their chance to adapt and change how this defense is being panned out. It's not a great buy for them, and I like the fact that they've sent the lone Vandal over to B so they can stack this A site with the point-blank weapons like that Bucky, like those Sheriffs. Now, they do have an ult advantage, but I doubt we'll see them use it this round, particularly when they don't have the firepower to back it up.
Yeah, this is going to be an eco where they'll be trying to make sure they do a lot more in terms of damage, what Velocity have been constantly doing. Let's hope they're kind of able to retaliate. Hunt does not find any information, but Deathmaker, I do love it. He's not giving up, right? Kremer here, every time that we are seeing, he's hitting showers, and he's hitting it right. There might be a couple of times when he's fallen down, but it does not matter. He's like, this is where I have to be stationed at, and he's been doing it brilliantly. On the other end, when we were seeing, right, at B side, they were holding at Hookah every time. Funny Monkey, he was getting under control, but 6 rounds later, it was just too much, and Velocity were prepared for it. But right now, look at this. The entirety of Velocity have changed their position. The spike is about to hit B, but the weapon is not there. It's just 2 players. Both of them drop, and it's done for. Storm pushing them back. Benj, the Hue Vandal right now, comes into play, takes down LF. They're going to be happy because they have right now gotten at least 1 player down. But still, weapon is not something that they can be happy about. Just having a single Vandal.
And the one able to finish off the Vandal of Benjay takes a lot of damage though from Kusef. And I would highlight the effectiveness of Funny Monkey this round. The fact they've been able to delay for this long is really going to start raising alarm bells. Funny Monkey actually extends there, able to pick up the rifle. Good for 1, instantly traded out 15 seconds. Velocity needs to get a wiggle on it, and they've got to swing into a Bucky here. Chrome spots out the first. That could be the decider now. 10 seconds left. Out comes the showstopper. Instant swing. Good for another on the high ground. Bucky misses. MW1. 5 seconds left. There is no time. They've got to get the hell out of dodge, save those
Thrifty.
weapons, as we see a very thrifty round come out from Union Gaming there. Absolutely perfect. And for me, that is all Funny Monkey. We criticize him for being a little bit one-dimensional, but when the adaptation needs to come through, he rises to the occasion. That slow orb to set up the first kill, followed by the extension to get the info on the rotation there. The fact they're even able to get that second kill makes things go from great to just perfect. What a round from Union.
Brilliant one. I mean, we were just talking about it, right? Play a couple of rounds in the same position and then switch things up. They got punished for playing it too long, but when they switched up, Velocity were not ready for it, and I do like that slowdown. But right now, let's hope they're prepared for it. And again, it looks like to be a similar wall, and they're ready for it. MW1 puts down a paint shell to flush out Funny Monkey over here, but he's able to save. Does not eat up any damage right now.
I like the setup here from Funny Monkey and Benji. Yes, it's a repeat of what they've done before, but it also hasn't been beat before. Yes, it's readable, but that doesn't mean you can actually kill them. And the delay as well from the Brimstone means that for Velocity, all they've really done here is shown presence and sort of harassed Union a little bit, but more psychologically because they've hardly taken an ounce of damage. Instead, Velocity, they take a deep breath, they prepare for the plunge over to the safe site. Nightmare ready to be deployed, the push ready to come off the back of it here. Roach deploying the odds, recon dart, that's a perfect recon dart as well. They know the execution's coming, that forces out the Nightfall as Velocity once again look to waterfall their way onto the safe site.
Spike down
They've
A.
taken control, but look at this. We were talking about the ultimates. Now it's favoring Velocity. There's an orbital strike. Even if the numbers come under control, I think there's going to be a post-plant positioning coming in from Velocity. They're going to be making sure that the orbital strike, Brimstone survives, making sure it's on his back. But look at this. Again, a miss, but repositioning immediately better from Deathmaker. Gets himself a 3k. The last player surviving, Benj again. Will he be going in for a save this time, or is he going to be trying and battling it out as much as possible, trying to take a couple of weapons out? And yes, he finds Deathmaker. That's something good to kind of be happy with, but that's not the round, and he loses the battle against LFF, and that's another round. I mean, it's still back and forth here, Kramer. It's still not looking that we have kind of make a judgment that it's still maybe Velocity's game or maybe Union's.
Honestly, I would argue that Union have done enough here. They're at the stage now where if they can start converting just rounds on the bounce, if they can get another 3-round spree, then not even if it's just on their attack, you've humbled Velocity. They're no longer going to try and walk over you. They're going to have to start relying on strategies, and that's just going to reveal strategies for the rest of this tournament. Everyone else, Global Esports, Enigma, Full Power, they're going to be watching this, and they're going to be taking notes of every action Velocity take. And right now, Union, in terms of strategy, are bleeding them dry.
Chrome's again looking for the push up, but again just has a bucket to play with, so he needs to force the paddle up close to try and make it work. But look at this, they're trying to gain information. Seems does come through. I'm not too sure if he's been held down. Oh, he's good for one, but look at this again, the trade game coming through. But finally LF putting all a stop into that nuisance of trying to get the numbers under control. The last two players pushing out of hookah every time as Benj as well as Funny Monkey. They were dueling up. I mean, so they were tagging together, but this time there's no use of it. The spike has gone down at A, and it's a 3v2 situation. There's a resurrection chance, but the weapon we already saw, right? Remember, it's not that great. So again, resurrection will be kept.
Something that could really work for Union here is just pick up 2 rifles and save. You're under no obligation to commit to retaking here, particularly with Benjo dying. Funny Monkey, let's see how funny this monkey truly is. Wow, it's pretty funny. Shuts down LF, and now is looking for a second. Goes to the hill, and may very well consider going for this clutch. Gets a bit closer, sees the second player, can't quite react. Instead, they allow Velocity to make it 6. So they're 6-4 now. Union, they have to head back to the drawing board. They go for this next buy, and something I want to highlight is Chromes started this game beautifully. Now Velocity have a good idea as to how Chromes is playing. They've done a real good job at containing him. Deathmaker now matching him on frags, with MW1 also really starting to snap at the heels of that leading frag position.
Right now, Velocity have everything under control, I would say. They've been taking multiple rounds, and also on their attacking half, they have 6 rounds. We generally want to 10 see just 4, but right now they have 6, and they're looking forward to a lot more. And also, again, a little bit in terms of the damaging ultimates favoring Velocity. But look at this. There's a switch up. This time it's not Funny Monkey here. It's Chromes. And right now, if he finds that first frag, especially takes down MW1, it'll be good. Prowler right now takes a bite of MW1. This gives away the position and Chromes capitalizes. But LFF, he's got on the entry into sight. That was very crucial to take it under control. But Roach, he's ready for it. And oh no! LF walks, but Amaterasu was knife out.
Taken down.
Alright, Velocity, what can you do when you're on the back foot right away? So able to put those smokes down, but maybe too little, too late. Down to the Taunt 2 with Deathmaker able to strike back, swing out, Funny Monkey good for the first, Deathmaker able to trade, Deathmaker doubling down, able to win the 1 versus 2 on 2 players who swung at him in unison there. The Chamber really looking to elevate Velocity to these next levels. A really strong performance now, and as they find themselves at 7 on their attack of binds, this is where it gets a little bit worrisome for Union. Yeah, 7 to 5s, they're very recoverable regardless of who wins the half, but when you start hitting kind of 8-4, 9-3, that's when you panic a little bit here. So if Velocity can get this final round, they're going to be looking very comfortable as they hit their defense side.
Yeah, they'll be feeling more than happy on that end. And now look at this. They know that this is going to be the last round of the first half, and they're going to be giving it their all. They're going to be buying up. But still, it's very bad in terms of weaponry. They don't have something great, but there's a couple of sheriffs, but can they do something great? Yes, they can go in for a pick, but it's better to counter with Firepower, which has better weaponry right now. And look at this. Resurrection has been there for such a long time, and it has never been used, Tremor. And look at this. The side control has already been taken. They've gotten the spike down, and no use of that orbital strike. It's gone out in vain.
That's a big blunder there. Chrome's once again going for one of those Rambo plays. Cancelled out, the Nightmare goes off as well to prevent any further pushes. As Union now attempt to try and encroach their way onto this site, but every attempt at a land grab, every time they try and garner some advantage, Velocity has someone ready in response. No utility being dumped now onto these players out through CG, and for Union, it'll be an 8-4 half. Not the greatest of positions to be in now. For Velocity, if they take this pistol round, it could just be a mere few moments before they're able to force us to our second map of Haven.
Yep, I agree. This is just going to be a couple more rounds, and I think we are heading right into Haven. But this is what we were talking about, right, Kremer? Union need to make sure they get this under control, at least bring it closer, so they don't have, I would say, very less confidence. They're going to be walking into Heaven. You need that mindset that needs to roll in, that you can immediately jump in and get Heaven under control, because you need to push it to ascend. Otherwise, it's going to be a 2-0, and Velocity will be more than happy to take it. Now, the side has switched up, but look at this. There's shields being bought up from Union to make sure they have something to play around with, even with the first shot that might do a lot in terms of damage. And that's the reason the buy up of the shield is going to be there. But where are they going to be hitting? Are they going to be trying to play around with the fake or not? It's going to be 2 players right now at B. It's going to be Amaterasu as well as Deathmaker. Recon giving away the position. A little bit of NFE movement over there as he misses the recon. Now Owl Drone trying to trail things around. Deathmaker again seeming deadly. Amaterasu's Trailblazer as well does get caught up, but look at the hookup push. Does not matter. Amaterasu does find the first, but then his strays coming in from Kuf. He gets 2 players out now. Both LFF as well as Kuf playing around. Fade me fade. And LF finally winning the battle. I mean, I understand it's the classic, but still. Okay.
Well, that's an that's a laboured round, sure. It certainly isn't pretty, but frankly, Sam, it works. Union, they make it 5. And I was going to be a little bit critical of going for 4 shields, particularly when it means you do have a little bit less utility, but the way they were able to ambush Velocity, who were almost baited into fighting for B long there, was a really nice set piece. And, well, as you can see from the scoreboard, it worked. We now enter the anti-eco for the members of Union. A chance to farm some cash, farm some ult points here as they go for the instant ult orb over on the Sky. Deathmaker covering his teammate just to make sure it doesn't fall into the hands of Union. But with only headhunters and pistols, what good does Deathmaker do here?
I mean, he's taken a frag previously, but it was on the start. But right now, misses the opportunity. Gets tagged up, but because of the rendezvous, immediately comes back. Amaterasu denying the hunt. Much needed. You don't want to give up all the information. But still, looks to be a probable B hit here. They're going to be pushing in together, getting some more information. Prowler coming in, but look at their sidelines. Deathmaker had the opportunity of his lifetime. Okay, he converts on the second, but Chromes is there to capitalize alongside Roach. And now Cease is going to be there where Roach is stuck, but it does not matter. Deathmaker still trying to play in the backline. Gets one, but that's all immediately as Chromes, Benj and Roach wrapped around.
Someone highlighted something from Union, which I'm inclined to agree with. Because this isn't Union's map. Remember, Velocity wanted to be here. This is their home ground. Union now are in a position where you have some loose kind of defensive setups that you probably already knew just because you're an established team. But it's your attack where you're really going to shine. Because the transferable skills on attack are a lot more broad when you're an established team than your defense. So it's actually the attack. I think Union Gaming are really going to wake up here. So much so, actually, that Velocity, maybe that lead wasn't enough. An upset is definitely on the tables here. And that makes you very excited, Sam.
I agree with you. I mean, it does feel like that. There can be an upset and they're attacking favor. This is what we were talking about in the start. It does not matter whether the map is a defense favored map or an attack favored map. It's about how that team likes to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Now, with another spot of aggression onto long here, Union Gaming looking to meet that. Catches out right to Ace. The Sky is able to trade it, but for how long? Chrome's once again go for one of those hero fast plays. However, it's the Sky to go out for the 4K. Hell F is able to steal the ace though. For Velocity, that'll be 9. And that is a very clean way to mop up Union's anti-eco. But now we hit the big guns. Now it's rifles on rifles. Sam, I can't help but think that if Union win this, they're still in with a chance. If Velocity win this, then they are at the stages where they're starting to set themselves up to try and close out the map.
I agree with you. Right now, if Union get this under control, they're going to be winning this and trying to push it even further, getting it to an equalizer as well. But they need to worry about their economy as well. You can see there's a Guardian and then there's going to be that they're trying to look forward to play around with just the classic. Let's hope they're going to be trying to make it work, but Velocity are looking better in terms of the weaponry, clearly, as this is going to be most probably their round. But we have seen, right, Union pulling off his Rifty, but right to Ace, he finds the first on Chromes. He punishes him at hookah. And I don't know why the duelist was so far away. I understand that they were trying to bring something out, but look at this again. Deathmaker was doing this in his stack. He was loving taking shower control. He pushes up this time and he's able to isolate a fight for himself and take the player out.
Yeah, I really like the fact that Deathmaker's actually overextending as well. Not overextending, but going a little bit further than Showers, just to catch Union off guard. And as Deathmaker's able to double down, he's everywhere. If you want to run from Deathmaker, you can't. If it moves, Deathmaker kills. And if it doesn't move, Deathmaker moves on.
I mean, it's in his name.
Put up in the beta switch.
9-6. I think this round is done for. I mean, they're going to be trying and recovering the spike. I mean, nobody contesting it here, Kramer. So it can be recovered, but still, look at the clock. It's 30 seconds. So it's going to be a rattle on your brain of what you're going to be trying and doing. And Deathmaker right now, look at him. He's just jumping around, playing with their feelings, trying to kind of bait them out into a situation where they're cornered. And Amaterasu as well as right to Ace can jump in at the teleporter at any moment, but Deathmaker is looking brilliant. It was Amaterasu in the previous one. Right now, Deathmaker with the 4K and a flawless 10-6.
Deathmaker currently going 22-8. Sam, some people say that Chamber isn't a duelist. Well, in Deathmaker's hands, everything is a duelist. His username making a lot of sense now, as we're going to move into the kind of scrambled attempt at a kind of loose buy from Union. It's just to put up something. Right, you can't go into a round with just classics. You need to have just something. And in this case, it's kind of Buckies, it's Sheriffs. It's an attempt to push up to B here. But for Velocity, the momentum now is starting to seriously swing in their favor. And this pendulum, it shows no signs of slowing down.
No, I would say reaction. Look at this. The Prowler, it goes down in vain. I mean, the thought was there. They could have found it. Ooh, Chromes is able to dodge away, but for how long? Kuf is able to find one, but right away is immediately taking a player down. Even Steen, Kuf trying to back off right now, but look at them. They've already entered this site, and yes, they're trying to get the spike, but which the Seekers gives away all their position, so they're unable to do what they want and sneakily get their way in and get the spike down. The ultimate comes to the Nightfall, gives away all their position, but the orbital strike delays things further.
Funny Monkey hoping to get the player advantage for Union here, but it's right to waste. MW1, they strike in a unison here. And for Deathmaker, still alive, still prowling, still hunting for some kills. And if I'm on Union, that is definitely got to make you feared, and for good reason. Deathmaker eradicates Benjay there through the wall to bring Velocity their 11th. The alarm bells have got to start going off for Union Gaming here, because this Union is very close to being broken.
Yeah, we are 11-6 right now. One more round, we are going to be heading to match point, and after that, it should be the closer. And as you said, Deathmaker is right now running away. Even though we thought that MW1 is going to be making things happen, but Deathmaker is right now. I think next time, Kremer, whenever we are going to be in the agent selection, right, I'm going to be having a duelist written down on a piece of paper, and somebody locks in Chamber or myself, I'm going to stick that on my screen saying that, okay, this is a duelist, no more a sentinel to be called.
Yeah. To be honest, I think anyone Deathmaker plays is essentially a duelist. He's just
Yes.
that good. That's all the Force already brought out as well. You've got it this early. Why not? Goes for the aggressive angle as well. Gonna look straight engaged with the Sage.
Oh!
Finished off though, Funny Monkey. What a time to usurp the tights, and then W1 able to get the follow-up though. Not quite able to double down. Instead, this early skirmish, this little engagement, the
You will
foray
not
through
kill
to
my
shorts
ally.
has left, especially with the resurrection. The rest
player standing.
velocity in a 1 versus 5. LF. This would be a career-changing clutch. But it's
Not
not yet to
happening.
be.
I mean, Right to Ace had the opportunity over there when he peeked out of hookah, when he saw the boombot coming his way, but he kind of freaked out. The boombot was also his way. He caught a player who was looking in the wrong direction. It was Chromes and did not know what to do. So his reaction was a little bit late, and also Chromes immediately sticking on to him, taking him down. But how Chromes was looking, especially on his defensive half, it's kind of looking iffy right now. I mean, how he was able to immediately help his teammate where he was there near the A teleporters towards shot and immediately jumping towards hookah. It's not happening now. But Deathmaker has brought in an operator. Finally, we are seeing an operator in the game. I mean, we saw the tour de force, but let's see what Deathmaker will be able to pull off with this.
I like the fact he's holding, even though he's been pinged here, to make out the Aldrin as well. And even though Deathmaker backs off after this, the amount of utility you've drained just by presence alone is perfect here. NW1 able to extend to get that first blood, and there's the reaction. You know that once Union spot out a player, that's when Chromes then pushes. You catch him out, and there's that kind of scalpel for Union to shave off that first bit of flesh. It's now no longer available. Remember, when your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks a lot like a nail, and in this case of Deathmaker, that hammer is being wielded in that op. But you may go for a quick rotation over to be here with the Sky,
Hawk
just trying to go
destroyed.
for a bit of info gather. The Hawk being destroyed is going to alert them enough, though.
Yeah, and again, look at them. They're always playing a very aggressive position. Amaterasu previously held this octagon so damn good, and right now he's going to be looking for doing the same thing. Seas comes through, but it does not find Amaterasu. He's still able to stay, but look at this. Funny Monkey does find MW1 on the other hand. I mean, it should have been Amaterasu, but MW1 maybe at that time just jumped up
30
and
seconds left.
gets taken down. But still, there is a possibility because the time is getting wasted now. Only 20 seconds to react here, Kramer. If they don't do it properly, take down a player, it's going to be difficult. LF and Deathmaker, they're not at all letting them enter A. And now it's going to be way too late. They have to just get the spike down. And the spike carrier is towards Shadow. Immediately gets dropped down, and Right to Ace taking Funny Monkey down. That's match point here for Velocity. There were a couple of rounds that we were seeing from Union that they were able to put up and try to get 7 on board. But it's not enough as Velocity have reached match point now.
I really, really like that from Deathmaker, to get that opening kill with the op and then go quiet, to just hide, allow your teammates to catch up with you, because Union can't push this side. So long as you're alive, they can't push. And so his presence alone is enough to buy enough time for your teammates to come in. Eventually, Peaks shuts down the player and showers, but at that point, his teammates can deal with the remaining player. Velocity now stare on the precipice of closing out their map pick of Bind. Union just 5 rounds away from equalizing, but one mistake away from being eliminated from Bind at least.
Best of 3, so there's still an opportunity. Chrome's right now trying to react on top of the Predator. Deathmaker's position is known, but it's still good for 1. Deathmaker, what was that shot? Again, look at him, his position right now. He's marked. He's still not giving up. I mean, he used his rendezvous, so he knows it's difficult to run away from that position. But he's safe to move out now because Amaterasu has control of Octagon as well as right now Benji is the only one who is towards Suka. So right now, nothing happening. Spike looking forward to getting towards A shot. Gets denied as Funny Monkey was trying to make his entry. LF is looking forward to using his ultimate to gain more information. And yes, the Nightfall comes through. The last surviving players, the showstopper also being fought. And look at the number of ultimates being exchanged just to try and save the spike carrier from Union. On the other end, Velocity to just finish it off right here.
So much utility being deployed from both teams here. Unfortunately for Union, they just don't have the man counts. Kuseth is going to try and catch up first player. Wonderful shot there onto the opposing fade. Benjay's able to chime in, but it's the utility once again that is just insurmountable. Velocity, sure, they staggered for a moment, but while they have left Union beaten, battered, and bruised, Velocity haven't won yet. That was still just our first opening map. And remember, that was the map pick of Velocity. How are Union going to look on their own home ground?
We have to wait and watch, and especially right now, I feel like Kremer, there can be a good matchup on Heaven, because we did think, right, Bind should be an easier map here for Velocity. It's their pick, and they've been quite faring well on that map. But Union put up a competition. It did look good for them, but there were a couple of rounds that they could have won even better. I mean, they kind of fell into the play of what Velocity wanted to do, and Velocity were able to take in control of that and get that round under control. If you saw a couple of rounds when we saw, right, they were taking that point as well, we knew what the side of Union were doing. It's just because that they were the ones who were making plays happen. They were not giving time for Velocity, and they were making sure that Velocity reacts on their play. They were going aggressive. They're able to get rounds. But when they slowed things down, it was Velocity doing the same thing. So I think it's just that who took up that first aggressive position in any of the direction, might be Showers or might be towards B long. Whoever did that were the one who was winning the round, and it was Velocity doing for most of the rounds.
No, you're absolutely right. Something I want to highlight, actually, moving on to Haven, is, let's be honest, Deathmaker there played very damn well. And I would argue that isn't even a career game for Deathmaker. He's able to do that on average. So you move to Haven, a map where Chamber rules supreme. Deathmaker's already playing out of his mind. But the Union who didn't play a Chamber on Bind, they don't have to plunge into the unknown in an attempt to stop someone who is already having a good series.
And Deathmaker here, Kremer, we should not let him get the operator. And he started off. He loves the operator. And especially on the Chamber, he's running away as well, making sure his operator is still able to get a lot more frags. This tells us that you're going to be having a tough time on Haven. But again, it's Union's choice, right? So anything can happen. And especially they will have an advantage here, even though we call it as an advantage, Kramer, after losing this right now. Union, they will have that pressure somewhere in the corner of their mind that Bind did not work in our favor.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to highlight, actually, which is credit where credit is due to Union. You commented on how long it took to get the first op of the game. Deathmaker was only able to bring it out kind of 3 rounds before the end. And that is because Union did such a good job at keeping the Velocity economy under control. They did such a good job at sort of going blow for blow. And even in the rounds they lost, they were able to kill so many players that Velocity's economy was never really given a chance to take off.
Never. I mean, that's what we were looking about, right? You need to make sure you keep Velocity at bay. You not give them that respect, even though we know they're a team to be well feared of. It's not in the match that you're playing. But right now, yes, the first map is done. Unfortunate, we would have loved for Union to keep pushing through. It looked like multiple times, right? Chrome's how he started off when we saw on Bind was just brilliant, but after down the lane, it was Velocity reading him outright. They knew anything that was happening from Union, Chromes was the first one to react. So they were having their sights set on when Chromes is going to be appearing. And as soon as they did, he was the first one to go down as well. Too many times we were seeing him being the first blood for the team.
You're absolutely right. And while for Chromes, it's quite a bit of a gamble, really. Their kind of style to defense is there an opportunity to get a kill? Maybe. Yeah, sod it, I'll push it. And pushes it anyway. And, well, yeah, sometimes it did catch Velocity off guard. Once it happened kind of the 4th, 5th time in a row, they became wary of it. And it meant that they were able to use Chromes' aggression against him. And that's how they were able to garner player advantages so frequently, but especially in that second half.
I mean, I felt like here what happened for Union Gaming was having too much information, right? We were talking about it. You need to make sure that information is good for you in terms of defense, because you know where the aggression is coming from. You know that the spike is going to be on one of those attackers. You can find them and try and take them out. And once you get the spike under control, you can try and delay it as much as possible. And on time game, you can win it. But this was not what's happening. So right now we have a clear-cut picture, but a detailed description is what we're going to be seeing on the scoreboard. So let's quickly jump into the scoreboard. And I'm pretty sure MVP, there's no second thoughts about it. It's going to be Deathmaker from Velocity. An insane 365 average combat score and 2.89 KD, 26 kills. That's what he's pulled off here, Kremer.
That is one bloody good Chamber. And I think no one's going to disagree with me here when I say that he was the MVP of total of that map. Chromes did play well. And I am very impressed with the way that he was able to try and just no respect velocity. I mean, that was what you have to do when you are the underdogs, is give them reason to respect you. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do it consistently for the rest of the game. The other player I want to highlight on Union, who did very well, was Funny Monkey. I think they had some really, really nice reactions to how Velocity were playing. And while on paper, their defensive hookah looked one-dimensional, then frankly it wasn't. They constantly had Benjay there to sort of alternate with, and because they were able to sort of switch out who's fighting when, and that constant bait and switch, particularly when he then just changes the tempo and pushes, that caught Velocity off guard time and time again, and they hadn't really adapted to it, even at the end of the map.
Only once. I mean, Funny Monkey thought, especially because he has so much control at hookah, he thought, let's me try and push out, went aggressive, was on top of his wall. That's when MW read him. But every other time, hookah control was never given up. It was so tough for them to get that. And most of the times, they were just disregarding B and moving in a different direction. But I would also say here, Kuf from Union Gaming, he did do a brilliant job. Might not be on the weapon perspective of getting the Vandal and trying to make it work. But whenever we saw him on the Sheriff, right, he was just cracking those heads open and sending them out. And I think that tells us that he has an insane aim. But again, Fade coming into picture, you again need to be that team player, right? So certain times it does happen, right? Immediately you have to put down a utility where you're trying to react in front of an opponent and you can just lose the battle.
No, you're absolutely right. Something I want to highlight from Velocity here, which is something I think they need to improve on a little bit, is when they're retaking long control, they play their Sky in the sort of same position as the Raids. And what it means is that when they were scouting for info, they deployed their Seeker and their Boombot at the same time, which removed their info gather just by overlapping them, which meant that neither got any info and you're out of info gather. I realise I'm being a little bit picky here, but let's be honest, that's because they were very good. And so we are having to really nitpick the problems from Velocity here. I think the highlight, that kind of overarching problem they had, though, was they struggled for preliminary aggression. I think now we hit Haven, our second map of the series. I think they're probably wary of it now. It's down to Union to adapt as they move to their map pick and bring out something that neither team has seen yet.
We were talking about it, right? Both these teams are coming out as blanks. There's nothing written on them here in the Skyesports Champions Series. So it happened that Velocity did take time to read Union and vice versa happened. But after that, Velocity were able to take them down. They knew Chromes is going to be coming through. But again, this is a map where Chromes is going to be playing on Duelist. That's the reason he picked up that race. But once we switch over to Haven, things can switch up. I mean, Chromes, I've told about this when we started off, is a brilliant sentinel. He just switches up to the Duelist when the team needs him to be, and he did it here. But I feel like he's going to be switching up to the sentinel, which gives him at least some control in terms of slowing down the game for himself as his team entirely. Maybe not going and being quick on his heels, and that can give them an opportunity on Haven. But again, Velocity have read them, and Deathmaker, the way he's playing, irrespective that he's on the chamber, he's just running and gunning.
You're absolutely right. Now, we've just seen Bind. I'm going to put you on the spot once again here, Sam. Do you want to stick to your prediction as we move to Haven, or do you think Union are actually going to be able to take Haven?
After the show that they've shown us here, I have some hope. So I'm going to be trying to lean over to Union to win this map of Haven. But again, there's going to be some amount of confidence that Velocity already has. They want to quickly close it. But still, a little bit leaning because it's also their map choice after what they've showed here on Bind.
No, you're absolutely right. It has. I think that for Union, they have all of the fundamentals to be one of the best teams in SA.
Yes.
They're all there. But they just are. There are so few niche little things that need to be worked on. But I'm telling you, for Union, I think kind of, let's put them on a scale, rating out of 10, right? I see them sort of hovering around sort of 4 or 5 for a couple of months, and then they're going to shoot straight up to a 9. Like, instantly. Because once they isolate those problems, once they fix them, they're going to take off.
I completely agree with you on that. There are some nitpicks situations that they have to get under control. They have to understand what's going wrong, especially in those chaotic situations, right? When Velocity makes them react, they're unable to control themselves. They're going right on the faces of Velocity where they're giving up their lives. And you do not want that happening. Unfortunate, I mean, you want to get things under control, but you also need to understand there are a couple of players who are rotating. So give them the opportunity, regroup, and then try to execute. Velocity were doing that always. If they were able to get isolated and fall down, they were immediately regrouping and then moving into a different position completely itself, and then attacking or defending, whichever may be. But I would say their B-long control as well as shower control, these two positions, especially in defense, have been very good. Nobody's been able to do a lot. I mean, whenever I would say B-long control was given up, they were still available and stationed at hookah. So it was just a choice and matter that they were gaining control and holding it off in the defensive side of one of the sides, and then letting them, I would say, kind of cornering them by giving them access, right, Kremer? So they kind of were falling into the trap as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. In just a second, we will be able to head over to Haven now. Is there anything you want to see from Union moving on to Haven? Like, do you want to see a fade? Do you want to see him sort of bring out a Sage again? What's your expectations here?
I mean, right now we were just talking about Fade, right? We want to see Fade more into action, but it's also kind of both the ways working as an advantage and a disadvantage. I would say even for Velocity, even though they tried to play with it, you saw, right? There were so many utilities which were going unaccounted for, and in that's just a little bit bad, especially with Fade having so much in terms of power rather than just thinking about her as an informant. She's able to give you so much space in terms of taking players down itself, not just information. The Prowler is just too damn scary when it's right on your face, right, Kremer? It makes a scary noise and then tries to gobble you up, and then you have no vision, no sound of what's happening, and it's a scary position to be in. And that's what happened. We saw Chromes acting on top of it and taking Amaterasu down. So these are the kind of instances does give you, but when your Prowler does not work, when your Haunt does not work, when especially Seas, right now I've seen very few Seas being, I would say, coming into play. So I think, again, Fate can be disregarded here in Haven, even though she can play really, really well, because this is not such of a cornered map, right? Open spaces are going to be there. So Fate can work. So I still think that maybe both these two teams are going to be disregarding her here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Something else I want to do as well is if we sort of pan back a bit, we sort of go, we sit back and look at the whole overarching picture here. For Union, this is a tough start to a group, let's be honest.
Yes.
You have your opening game against Velocity. The game afterwards is against Full Power. Like, this is not how you want to start a group stage. Luckily, it does mean they're going to have to be playing catch-up for the rest of the group. But the reality is, if your two arguably hardest games are going to be in your first 2 days of the tournament, if there ever was a time to bring out new groovy strategies, now really would be it.
Yeah, now would be the time. They need to try and figure things out to make sure it happens. I mean, again, the next game that they're going to be coming through, they might have an advantage in terms of they've seen what Full Power do, just like how right now Full Power have seen Union Gaming that have done, right? But still, there's going to be a couple of situations where they don't have the complete understanding, and then there might be a couple of choices in terms of the maps, which might be better, and Union could start off on split, right? If these kind of instances do happen, maybe.
I did have to.
Yeah, you were saying?
I had to do a double take there. Prime 5 just beat Enigma on Icebox over in the other game happening at the moment. Wow! Where did that come from?
Okay.
Prime 5, of course, one of the teams that qualified through our qualifiers. They had to really slug their way here. They're tied with Enigma.
Oh.
What? Wow, okay. So, I mean, if that isn't proof that every game here is going to be action-packed, I don't know what is, because that is a result. I'm really interested to see how that series ends. Luckily, as well, that's going to be running alongside this game.
Yes.
So as we play out Haven, we'll be able to see the decider of that match there. Haven in just a second. Now, for Union, I think they started buying beautifully. That constant aggression. I think that once Velocity started getting their groove, it feels like they almost had Union a little bit shaken. Felt like their confidence was broken a little bit. If they're able to restore that confidence and then keep it consistent for Haven, I really think they could be unstoppable.
Yeah, it's just about the timing, right? You have to make sure that once you jump in over there, you don't give them the opportunity to kind of completely get acclimatized over there. If you give them that opportunity for them to be completely understanding of how they are playing as agents and metas, how they've set up, it's going to be getting difficult. But right now, as we're going to be seeing Haven coming into play, right? We were just talking about the double duelist picture coming And I feel like it can happen here, especially from Union. Chromes has been playing well. Roach can right now switch things up. I mean, Roach is one of those players who's still sticking down to Reyna in the recent games as well.
Yeah.
So he can bring in that Reyna. But on the other end, I feel like, again, Chromes might switch over to the Sentinel as we were talking about it. And Scrim might be the one who might be picking up a Jet to kind of counteract Deathmaker. Maybe Deathmaker gives up that and gives it to MW1, and MW1 moves from to the chamber, and Deathmaker comes back to the Jet. Do you think that's a possibility on the cards?
I wouldn't mind seeing Deathmaker on the Jet, to be honest. Sure, his chamber was incredible. I would argue that putting him on the Jet almost feels a bit like a waste, because you can put, say, MW1 on the Jet and keep Deathmaker on the dual list, on chamber. And you've got two players who are on very effective agents, rather than trying to force both into Deathmaker. Whereas Deathmaker, he's already fit to roam free, let's be honest. He has just been playing so damn well. So I think it's an option, and it's certainly not wrong when it comes to options. I think they'd be a little bit more comfortable, though, allowing NW1 to have a little bit more freedom in agent select.
Yeah. And one more thing right here, Kramer, we were discussing about it, right? Especially that the agent we wanted to see Breach never came into play on Bind.
Yeah.
But again,
we've got to see Breach on Haven,
yeah,
surely.
The possibility is there. They should not give it up, but again,
Yeah.
who knows, especially with them bringing Fade both the sides. I was not at all ready for Fade from both the ends. One, yeah, I would have kind of thought about it, but from both the ends, and also a brilliant adaptation with that Sky that they've bought in, got the advantage for velocity. So they got information, and especially with Sky's flashes, right? You get the best of both worlds, flash as well as the information. They reacted well on it.
No, you're absolutely right. And as we do move into Haven, I really do want to see a Breach. I don't think Fade is the agent for Haven. I think that if you are picking into a Fade, you're picking into a Fade purely because it's one you're comfortable with and one you want to experiment with rather than one that you've practiced with. We're going to head into the agent select now, and we'll see if there is going to be a Fade. Oh, look, like Sam, I'm praying there isn't, because frankly, Fade does not have a place on Haven. Thankfully, everyone has heard the common sense. MW1 going for the Neon for me is going to be interesting. Alongside a Chamber and KO, Velocity are looking for a very aggressive defensive half here.
Yeah, I mean, when they wanted to start off, they did keep mentioning, right? What you're going to be seeing here in the SCS is going to be completely different, and that's what they're bringing in. I mean, I've seen multiple Neon games, not seeing about Velocity from different teams. On Haven, whichever team had picked up Neon, it did not work out. Even in the qualifiers, we did see in the previous match as well. Even though Neon gives you an opportunity to change the pace up, it's not working out. So right now, MW1 bringing it, it's going to be confusing for Union, but let's see what they'll be doing. Again, still sticking on to the double duelist. We thought Roach might come in the Reyna, but it's not happening. Scrim, Funny Monkey is going to be Scrim, who's going to be bringing in the Jet, and Chrome still sticking to that. But again, I like this Cypher pick because you can play anywhere around the map and also have control of one particular side with your trap fires as well as the camera. But right now, they're going to be on attack. So kind of Killjoy, you don't have to be worried about the range, right?
I agree with you on some parts. I like that Funny Monkey has gone from the Sage to the Jet. It means that you do have a little bit more freedom to go for double duelist. Chrome's staying on the Raze. I don't know how I feel about Raze on Haven, but if Chrome's, they played a good Raze, so I mean, why not play with what you're comfortable with? I don't like the Cypher pick though. I think Chamber has categorically better reach than a Cypher. I think the Tour de Force is a little bit better than the Neural Theft. Yes, Chamber's static utility is a little bit better, but in the current evolution of Valorant, I think that static utility is really falling out of favor right now because of how quick it is to rotate, particularly with a Chamber, with a Neon coming in as well. I think that your ability to be able to get from site to site trumps being able to leave utility on the site you've left.
Yeah, I mean, right now people have figured out where those trap fires are going to be. Even the camera placements, there were too many cheeky positions that players were doing in terms of gaining information. But again, if your site is completely empty, it's of no use. Right now, we are going to be quickly taking a look at the players' cam. As you can see, both Velocity and Union gearing up for this match, especially for Union. Right now, they're in a do-or-die situation. A quick buy up. 4 ghosts coming in for Velocity. It feels like they're going to be going in aggressive, Kremer, to start things off. They're not going to be giving space here for Union on their attack end. They're going to be making sure, maybe even put them on the attacker spawn down.
I quite like the idea to go for a mid push. It's also a way to get information. With Deathmaker peeking out is going to see that utility will back off for the time being, having already done enough damage to Chromes. This is going to invite the two duelists to push through mid now. Able to outflank Union here. This is perfect. The drive-by comes in. The panic jet from Funny Monkey isn't quite enough. And it leaves Union staggered now with 2 players left surviving. It's a quick trade from Kuseth, leaving us in a 2 versus 2. Flashed off the angle, able to get not quite out in time, leaving it all onto the lone Sova. Maratsu has an idea as to where Roach is pushing from, spots him out. There's the timing, that's all you need. Fairly ambitious flashbang, actually more thrown at Roach than used to flash him, as Helef will be there in that secondary position. That's dagger timed perfectly to stop the recon dart. Roach now, his only option is to aim Velocity here, ready to swing out from Garage. Spots out the first, the second player swings out. Roach able to trade off the first, out of ammo though. And it's time to be the biggest curse of them all. Amaratsu able to finish the job as Velocity go 1-0 up on the defense of their opponent's map pick.
To start it off, we were just talking about it, right? I mean, it was not a very aggressive push that Velocity did, but as soon as they got the idea of what was happening, that garage push was just brilliant. 2 players from B main pushing out and then getting into garage and taking down and catching them off guard, right? Nobody expected. 1 player is okay. With 2 players, and you saw, right, there Funny Monkey, he freaked out over there. Nonetheless, right now buy up is going to be the situation for Velocity. This time they're not going completely aggressive because they know certain times it does happen that people try and connect a Thrifty where you lose weapons and they convert, and with your own weapons they pick it up and take that round under control. So Velocity playing this round passive, just on information, looking forward to players getting aggressive, trying to make their move in.
Right, so it's on the jump spot, just trying to get a bit of info, and I like how Union are stacked together here. The idea is to overwhelm the Neon here. There's MW1, good for the first. Actually doubles down here, continuing to fight. That invites the KO to once again go aggressive, assisted by the Sky. They're also able to chime in. Funny Monkey, good for the first. Finished off by MW1. It's all onto the lonely hands of a very feared Cypher. MW1 looking to push Benjay here. Benjay, good to do a little bit of damage, but it's more inconvenience. If anything, though, finishes off the KO. But for what was a flash of brilliance is eclipsed by the lightning of Neon, as MW1 is able to bring the second round to Velocity.
Velocity right now are taking Union for, I would say, a stroll, because they're getting multiple rounds under control. Even though you saw, right, a couple of those Spectres were dropped. This is why we say you can't get close range and try to take down players when you have a better weapon. If you do that, sometimes right-click supremacy comes into play and they do the damage, right? And that did happen. I mean, there was an opportunity over there to take MW1 down as well. But hopefully they have those Spectres. They're not going to be buying up because they know if they buy up and they lose, they don't have anything to clear on in the next round. But on the other end, Union have everything to lose if they lose this round. This is their full buy. They need to capitalize. But look at this. This is the aggression that we were talking about. The trap fire right now is going to be there. They're going to be trying to break it. And I feel like they've not actually, they've dodged it here. Oh, Benj reads it. He's going to be taking down one. He takes down right to Ace as well as he was trying to push up. So 2 players are out of the board. So Velocity right now, yes, are going to be in a disadvantage. It's still close range. They can do something better. Deathmaker gets punished for his C-long aggression. And now A is completely there for their taking.
Velocity with a presence in Garage, there was an option to outflank. Unfortunately, they've just hesitated a little bit too long now. Union, they've been able to get to this A site uncontested now. And for Velocity, the objective now, I mean, getting 2 kills, saving both weapons would certainly be a victory in my eyes. However, if you can hunt for a few more exits, that could be even better. For now, exits appear to be on the menu for Velocity. And with a hell of a lot of meats to sift their way through, Union now is about getting off this site while keeping themselves alive.
Let's hope they find a couple of weapons at least to drop in terms of some economy damage. Ooh, Benj was looking forward to that, and he takes a player down and another also falls, and that's a flawless, and that's good to get back the confidence, right? And this is an attacker favored map. It should work in Union's favor, but again, an immediate counter. Right now, it's going to be a full buy. Oh, again, we were just talking about this. The operator from Deathmaker, he's not found anything to start things off here on Haven, but I think operator is going to be a start game right now.
You're absolutely right, and I like the early operator as well, purely because for Deathmaker, once his confidence is there, he's unstoppable. So, you build up that confidence, you get the op out early, really nice bit of team play there from Velocity to sort of use this as a moment for him to elevate himself. Remember, this is a setup with 2 duelists on Velocity, so I'm not expecting another kind of 28 kill game from Deathmaker, but being able to build that momentum as soon as possible is crucial.
You need that momentum, and that's what I would say Deathmaker thrives on. He's going to be getting a lot more after that. But again, MW1 has been making this Neon work brilliantly. Yes, it's just too early to say, but compared to what we were expecting and what's happening, especially with how he's able to use his utilities, not just to kind of get advantage in terms of a fight, also to slow down their opponents. And again, there are a lot more agents that are covering him, so tagging together is what Velocity is doing on their defense. They're not easily giving it up and rushing towards one position as a solo YOLO player, so they're holding it out. Now LFF, he could have gone out, but that's what I'm saying, they're not giving away their position as easily as we are thinking, and Seekers being deployed gives the position that players are getting into B. Oh no, Chromes was looking forward to a fight, but the duel is not there as MW1 and Amaterasu, they're wrapping a barrage and they're taking control of it. Players have been dropped. Bench through the cage, finds one. Chromes as well, but Amaterasu is trying to bring things under control. Make it a 3 for him, and it's the last player. Neural Theft was used, but it's off nowhere, and Deathmaker finds his first, and that's going to be a start for him as well.
That's also the revelation of the op as well. Union now have to think, God, how do we beat that? Something I want to highlight is that it feels like Union, they fight for Garage a little bit too much. The way we're sort of seeing Garage control in North America and Europe particularly is they sort of see it as a side quest. Like, if you get Garage control, awesome. If you don't worry. And then the predominant way to attack C would be to just charge up long, and then you play at range. In this case, it's a lot of focus on these close angles, these close duels, and, well, with a Neon and KO ult both available, they're really going to favor Velocity when you're taking these close angle engagements. Over on Union, they are still moments away from being able to bring out some ults of their own. However, they still need to both get these orbs, or better still, get an opening.
They have to create the difference that is there right now. They have to find a way to equalize it. They have to create multiple rounds that works in their favor. Chromes again using his boombot, but look at this MW's position, not known, but still he's good for one. But there's a trade, but position gets pinged and Amaterasu falls after that. But look at this paranoia, it affects right to Ace. Is going to be converting 2, but Kugef, he's going to be finding a trade, but 2v2. Let's wait and watch. Oh, hell, FF. As he was traveling, trying to take garage control, he spots a player and immediately puts him down. Now it's all up to Kugef.
Spotted out, finished off. LFF does the job, nailing a, well, very sturdy nail into the coffin of Union Gaming. There's still room to breathe. They're still able to break out. However, this is a solid start for Velocity. And considering how dominant Bind ended, when Velocity are feeling it, they're seriously feeling it. So, Union, they need to get their act together and quickly. Chrome's one away from a showstopper. Roach 2 away from a Hunter's Fury. This is accompanied by a Blaze Storm, which we'll probably see come out this round alongside a relocation on Kook F. Over onto Velocity. There is that Null Command still available, as well as the Neon ult. This is followed up by the relocation on right to Ace. Blaze Storm comes out, and Neon looks to aggress now through C-Long.
I'm still looking at the operator of what it's going to be doing, but look at this, the push from MW1. I mean, the read was there from Kugef, but immediately backs off. But look at the positioning he's got on himself too. MW1 misses his early shot and he backs off. But look at this Chromes with the frenzy. He's taking garage control. But oh no, the ultimate which was about to pop.
That's so perfect.
He's not going to be happy. But look at this, a great dink. But just because of the range, MW1 survives and he converts another on top of it. That's MW1. I mean, he's not even giving up. Look at him. He's confidently going in for the jump peaks to get more information. I feel like if he gets the right one and he's able to catch them off guard, he might be getting another one here.
I tell you what, MW1 is playing Valorant like it's a point-and-click adventure game. Kugef left alone in a 1 versus 4. It's certainly laboured, and the KO is punished for it. But Kugef, unable to retrieve that rifle, has to walk into Deathmaker, who will lovingly invite him into the warm embrace of death. Velocity, 5-1 is the lead now. Union, back to the drawing board now, as the panic may start to set in.
Union finding nothing, Kramer. I mean, I'm surprised. Bind was better for them, right? When we saw them, they were better and Bind functioning, getting more rounds. But right now, it's just Velocity running. and there's nothing that we are able to kind of sum up and try to figure out whether it's going to be Union still making a comeback. Okay, the previous round I understand it's not a buy up for them, but this time it's going to be a full buy. They need to find a way to convert it, but they just have one ultimate, and that's just from the shadows. He's going to be having a chance to try and change the game from a different angle itself, but his teammates need to help him out. Right now, Operator from Deathmaker repositioned to Sewers. Ooh, Benj was too close over there. Does back off at the right moment, but again, garage control is so good from Velocity. They're just like a fortress inside the door, right? There's nobody who's able to push up. Even if there's a chance they push up, as soon as they come out of garage, they put down.
Funny Monkey trying to catch out the odd player. It's NW1 to strike first though. Deathmaker shows that up means business, and Union, they want no part in this business transaction. They get the hell out of there. They set their case once again to Garage, where they're continuing this pretty drawn out fight. This war of attrition almost. And Velocity, the second attrition comes involved. They time and time again find themselves in the lead. You see the shout from right to Ace there. You know he's starting to feel hyped as Velocity goes 6-1 up. Now really looking to dominate Haven in the pilot seat now. From round 1 to now, they have looked unstoppable.
This is what I like about Velocity. They get riled up on every round. I think that just motivates them to get multiple rounds, immediate one after another. And that's one of the best parts, especially when you're sitting in a boot camp and they're right next to each other, right? So it kind of, you're like watching each other in case you fall down. But still, as soon as you win a round, you're like, yes, let's go. Right now, let's go. It's going to be to the next round that we are heading over to the 8th. LFF's position is revealed. But I still like all these switches up, changed from LFF coming through in his agent selection. But look at this, he's rightly going in. The bouquet is ready from Chrome. Can he find one? LF, he's not looking that great. The damage is coming through, but there's a cover also. Roach is good for one. He eliminates, and look at this, the ultimate gets denied as Funky Monkey. He's going to be taking Funny Monkey, my bad. Deathmaker right now able to trade it or trying to take side control, but Chrome puts him down. Amaterasu right now looking in no form of getting back into the battle because he's isolated at Sewers and they're just closing him off, and that's puts an end to him. Look at this MW1's position. He's on the backstab, but unfortunate on that relay bolt. Concusses himself.
He's going off. MW1 outflanked though. And that's Union getting a team ace on a round I don't think they were expecting to win at all.
Yes.
Velocity, they take their eye off the ball a bit there. And I can't help but think that Velocity, they get a little bit overconfident. They overextend, they're punished for it. And then in the bait and switch, Union just beat them to it. They win the engagements before Velocity are able to sort of get comfortable. Really, really strong round from Union and a great call there by the IGL. My worry, though, is can it be repeated? Can you mimic that success? Because if you can't, then it's going to continue to be just sort of stray rounds, shot in the dark here, while Velocity continue to just fill the gap with rounds of their own. Aggression from LFF here spots out Funny Monkey, but maybe overextends and overstays that welcome.
They never let be checked of the Sewers as well here, Kremer. Deathmaker did pick one on top of it, and Amaterasu. These two players have been incredible. Yes, a player did drop down, but that does not matter, right? You're getting the trades, but look at MW1 again able to push up right to Ace, taking a player down, and it's up to the last two surviving players who are both at A long, and right now they're trying to enter, but Deathmaker does not make that possible. The 2-4 is coming into play. Amaterasu watching the right grounds towards Sewers. He's going to be seeing Kukev, but the damage was there. Kukev was better here, but look at this MW1 again slowly creeping up. Previously when he did that, it did not work in his favor, but that the other 4s and a 3k, I can't take it anymore here, Kremer. I can't just. I feel like you know what time it is for, Kremer, because Velocity are running.
It's time for a can of whoop ass if you're over on Velocity, because my god, these guys are looking good. You can say they're building their Velocity. I don't think they're at their terminal velocity just yet, but they're approaching it. And right now, there is not much that Union have presented to try and stop them. You look at the ult over on Neon readily available. Velocity have held on to that for quite a while. Well, Union do have the ult advantage going into this round. They have that Neural Theft, they have the Relocation, and that Hunter's Fury. But they're being in a circumstance where you can use it is proving to be quite difficult for them.
Nowhere to run!
Let's hope Union find another one. The ult comes into action. Hunter's Fury trying to find something. It has tagged the player, and
there
yes, he gets one. But look at it again, MW1 on the backstab. Bench did read it, but look at it. They don't have garage control. Bench and Chromes try to make it, and yes, they do get it, but still MW1 is on that. MW1 is on the backstab, and on top of it, Amaterasu was also trying to assist him. If MW didn't fall, there should have been Amaterasu trying to capitalize, but that relay bolted. Damn. Concusses Chromes, does not let him run away, and right now it's going to be the Odai triumph, but oh no, MW1 not getting an opportunity to use that, but Roach flanks them, he catches them off guard, and right now has the opportunity of the pushes coming through. MW1 takes one player down, the other guy is on the side, they need to take down Funny Monkey. It's a 1v1 situation, and look at this, MW1 is sticking it, and he's going in for everything.
Oh, it's perfect!
Funny Monkey!
Oh, gets the kill afterwards as well. Hey, 4K from MW1, and I love that. He knows he's being outflanked. He must have the inkling that there's another player coming. And so rather than risk turning 180 and fighting that flanker, they use a trust in the teammate. They shut down the Sova once they pull out that recon dart. Allow the recon dart to get them because they already know right away. He's just got that final player distracted. Funny Monkey, they can't fight on two fronts at once. And for MW1, they reverse that site. They allow that plant to be safe for them. MW1 just sticks it. It's a solid round. And you look at the economy of Union Gaming now. It's been shattered, Sam.
It's nothing. I think this should be another round gone. But again, Chromes, whenever he picks up the Bucky, he tries to find one, and he's found and also upgraded his weapon. So it's back to a 4v4. A couple of weapons that have been brought up. LFF's position is known. He's getting constantly annoyed with it. And look at them. They're going to be trying to take him down. And it's through a wall bang towards B Garden over there. I mean, that's a good try to take him down because right now, Velocity, the way they're aggressing, right, to take control, you have to find a way to deny them. But why would you just walk up? That Maker, he makes sure it's accounted for in his kills.
Maker, all he has to do right now is just take a shot, fall back, take a shot, fall back, take a shot, fall back. Because for some reason, every time he presses mouse 1, people die. And with the Seekers already being deployed, Velocity have a really good engagement as to how Union have poised themselves here. Even though it would require rotation, a fairly lengthy one to get over to C, they're left with about 20 seconds before they can actually commit to the site. Right to Waste as well has the right idea, pushes the garage control. Benjay spotted out. Benjay swings out regardless, still finished off, and that should cue Velocity into the fact that Union have set their gaze to the C site. Getting ready to push up from long. There's that recon dart. Right to Waste already knows they're coming. Paranoia goes out, and time is continuing to be brought to allow these rotations to come through.
I think this is another round. I mean, yes, there were a couple of weapons recovered. The players with the weapons, what they can do. Nothing in front of Velocity. Yeah, I mean, we did see a Kukev trade, but there's just too many players, right? And I do like how Velocity, as soon as they get information, right, they kind of get closer up. They tag up over there as duos, irrespective of where they are. They bring in a couple of reinforcements. In case it's a solo player, he immediately backs off, gives away the position, or tries to hold a very hard angle that cannot be contested, where Union is about to enter, and they win the duel and they just back off, right? Again, getting the numbers better for Velocity. This is just looking too tough. Another full buy and everything is still falling apart. But now majority of the ultimates favoring Union. They need to find something at least here, Kremer, that should work, and around as well. Bladestorm already popped, and Deathmaker did see the slight glimpse of the jet jumping around.
Right, I love how close MW1 is playing this triple R as well. There's that audio cue. Roach is able to punish it regardless, though also tagging up HellFF, who is now going to be tested. Finished off by Roach. Really strong round from Roach now. Right to Waste. Timing doesn't favour him either. And it looks like Velocity seems to have found victim to what was allowing them to get so many rounds. And what was supremacy of timing now may fall flatulently to a 9-3 half. Certainly nothing to turn your nose up at. But I think in the back of Velocity's mind, could have been better.
Yeah, I mean, this is again another round that they just made a mistake on, and they're just paying for it. I mean, this is also the last round of the first half, so no complaints here. Already having a great scoreline, especially on the defensive half. Bench to close it out, making sure it's a 9-3. But here's one thing I do want to ask you, Kremer. I mean, we know this has been kind of having its own mind and very rarely working out. It's going to be the 9-3 curse. Do you think it's going to be acting it out or working here? Because generally, I feel like the caster's curse works better compared to the 9-3 nowadays.
Do they cancel each other out?
Maybe. Now that I mentioned both.
Oh, now we're adding another layer to it. Okay, all right, well, bro, at least in my opinion, I think Velocity are going to take this. I'm sticking to my 2-0 prediction. Yeah, there's the 9-3 curse and all that, but I don't think that really applies when the team is as established as Velocity, particularly when they have this much momentum. The rounds that have been won in such a one-sided fashion that it doesn't matter to, momentum for Union here. Union on the defense, though, going to have to put up some form of hold outside of a long here with Funny Monkey, the main man to worry about.
Deathmaker, he's looking forward to getting his first connection. Let's hope he finds one. Immediately Rendezvous was out. I mean, there was no option for him. If he tried to jump out, he would have hit by the paint shell, dealt a lot more in terms of damage. But look at that. There's no proper, I would say, side decision coming through from Velocity, but as timer is ticking, they're finally making a decision. But Seaside, it's a crossfire that is set up, one towards log, one on the elevator, but they're reading it right. The relay ball does come through, but Benj was ready over there. It did not matter that there was a relay ball. He takes MW down, and immediately the entirety of Velocity is backing off. But look at this. Funny Monkey, he's reading it. Deathmaker is also reading it. Funny Monkey is going to be the one who's good in that battle. He white swings right now, gets Amaterasu off the board, and he did tailwind out, but is still looking aggressive in that battle. He's going in for that, and he gets another. He's looking forward to the fourth. LFF, just because the positioning was a little bit better, he takes him down. But look at this, Chromes is already pushed up. They have so much aggressive control, but LFF, he's still finding those players out, and Bench puts an end to his menace. Ooh, LFF, he's a man who can make things happen, but when you get surrounded, it was much needed. Union right now playing it with all they've got. The pressure as well acting, and I think that pressure is kind of working out, but still too early to make a call here, Kremer, because it's still the pistol. So another to go around, and then we'll get an idea.
That was a really, really strong round from Union there. I love Funny Monkey's reaction to the fact that there's a push back to A. They get the fact they put down that cloudburst and push past it is just great. I love it so much. Fairly fast push from Leon out into Suez control as Velocity look to on their eco take control of the safe side.
Again, it's going to be Funny Monkey starting off, but this time he gets denied. He had a Marshal on hand, but again, pushing through a smoke is not a good call, right? You just easily give up your nozzle first, and then they'll be ready for you, and that's what happened here. But Chrome's still making sure that A main's control is not given away, but Deathmaker, as soon as the smoke disappears, not only find one, he finds the second with his Headhunter. This is what I was looking forward to. And right now, you see Union immediately coming to a standstill. They're unable to figure out what they should do. Should they hold the positions that they're in? Should they move? Should they regroup? All kind of chaos. And Velocity just letting that sink in.
Then Jay now trying to catch out the odd player. Kukef doesn't hear anything on A, but with so many weapons sort of led and left discarded down A long, they can't risk leaving. MW1 gonna hear that tripwire go off. It's now a matter of catching out Benjay. Something right away can do, and it looks like Velocity gonna take their eco round flawlessly. Unless Kukef has anything to say about it.
This round is again, Velocity pulling this out of the grasp of Union. Union needed to win it. They had to get a lot more under control, but right now the double digits will open up. Kukef is good for one, but they're just there. They're ready for that crossfire. They've just waited for the first opening. Irrespective if it went on his hand, it does not matter. They're going to be getting the double digits for them. Again, Union, they're able to retaliate here. They're trying to get things under control. But again, just like those minute mistakes that Velocity did whenever they're feeling that they had the round under control and then lost it, you're seeing that happening here from Union as well.
You're absolutely right. And for Union, a 6-round discrepancy, it's recoverable. It's certainly recoverable. Hey, you were just ecoed. You can very well do it back onto Velocity. We've just seen how good they can be with pistols. But are Velocity going to allow it to happen? Because in order to usurp a round you shouldn't be winning, it comes down to your opponents being the ones to make mistakes. You could only play so well here. And with a bit of aggression in mid here from Roach, LFF does have a pretty good idea as to how it's coming. The only thing he doesn't know is when.
Trailblazer to check it. He's going to be getting the information and he's going in. But Roach reconnects that. That was just nasty and that should not be allowed. But still, he makes it happen. And this is what we said. This is what you also just know. Just a couple of seconds you said. They just pulled off an eco. You can do the same thing. And that's what is happening. A shot, he finds one on Amaterasu. Not checking a corner. He's going to be paying it and not going to be happy with it. The Spectre, it also gets recovered. I
won't lie, the Velocity really taking their eye off the ball there. pushing in one at a time, doing some positions where you can't trade, not checking corners. That is a pretty dire way to start what is essentially an
30
anti-eco.
seconds left.
Luckily for them, they can take solace in the fact that they are still able to take 3 versus 1 for this C site.
Ooh, when he knows what's right now in cards. If you give them a couple of rounds, there might be a very close of a comeback happening. Union are still looking good. It's a 3v3 situation. The pan, it does hit, but it's the spike that has gotten planted, and still not better weaponries. There is a Spectre lying towards A main. I think that has been recovered, but Kukef, he needs to find the first one. But MW1, he's waiting for him, but he's also backing off at the same moment. Kukef, Deathmaker was spotting him from C-Long.
All right.
That was a brilliant I would say.
Remaining.
Cover up for his teammate. MW1 takes Chrome's down as he's blast packing his way in. Now it's all up to Funny Monkey. I don't think he's going to be finding him.
11-4 Velocity now, looking to tighten it up and close it out. I won't lie, Sam. I was certainly worried at the start of that round, particularly when they handed over those 2 initial kills.
Yes.
However, they do recover it, and I mean, it's the destination, not the journey, right? And I feel like you turn that phrase around every time, regardless of how it suits you. But in this case, it's the destination. As you look over to Funny Monkey, readily available with a Blaze Storm to back up that operator. Deathmaker one away from a tour de force, but that's really it in terms of ults and ults on the horizon. But Velocity is going to be supremacy of aim to bring them what would be their match and series point.
Let's hope Union try to bring this back. They don't want to push it to match point, and then they have to account for a pressure that they do want to react on. And Amaterasu finds the first one. Deathmaker. Bench, what was he doing? He was right pushing through his own cage. I mean, I understand he was trying to go a little bit up close, maybe even trying to get Sue's position, but not having the idea, he paid for it. And now Funny Monkey is also down. It's the last player, Chromes. And if they lose the weaponry, I feel like they're not going to be having the economy. So Chromes needs to try and kind of save it. If he's able to do that, I feel like Kremer, then there can be a situation. He went for the save of the operator, finds one, but look at the force coming through. Amaterasu with the 3k denies that operator from being saved. And it's a 12-4 here at match point, trying to close for Velocity.
Really, really strong stuff now for Union. This is where when you start seeing some Hail Marys, just some desperate dives or an attempt to outsmart or maybe outmaneuver Velocity. We've seen that beating them in aim is proving to be a challenge, particularly when MW1, Amaterasu, and Deathmaker are all feeling it. Your only hope now is to get behind them, to get around them, to beat them with some sort of nerdy set piece. Something needs to change, or Velocity are going to be taking this home. Instantly out of the Blaze Storm from Union, followed up by the Seekers as Velocity set the gaze to the C site.
Chromes, he starts things off, gets the first at least, but look at this, there are a couple of utilities that are helping Chrome to survive, but makes the mistake of pushing his own teammate Smoke, and right now he is just making sure his teammates are also falling apart. I don't know, again, this is what we talked about. You should not right now react immediately once a player falls down. Benji trying to bring it back, but it's a 1v2 situation. He did have a Spectre, but right now the opportunity for picking up a weapon, and look at that, the angle gets smoked off, and right now he's just pushing up. The nozzle is just about to be revealed, but Amaterasu reads it right. Velocity getting in, closing this first matchup in between them and Union, and getting the point as well for their group.
What a performance from Velocity there. After Bind, I do think the series will be a little bit closer, but credit where credit is due to be able to keep their psyche in check, to being able to keep their mental in check, and then using that as an opportunity to just deliver when it moved on to Haven. A hell of a scoreline and a hell of a performance you see from Right to Ace there. They are very chuffed with that victory, understandably so, because Union, they went from being underdogs to now being a team you really need to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, this victory, what we were thinking of, we kind of thought it could have been a domination coming in from Velocity, but they did not at all make it seem like that. Tremor, as you said, credit is due where it is, and that's what I would say, irrespective that Velocity were the ones who were going to be winning it, kind of it's also Union stealing our hearts. The way they were able to bring a couple of rounds under control and win it does tell us that they have the potential.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Of course, let's take a moment to quickly highlight today. We've had let's be honest, a hell of a performance from all of the teams who have played thus far. We had the regional qualifiers in which Orangutan and Prime 5 were able to go through, as well as Team Valor and Reckoning Esports. They all played in our opening games today, in which we were able to see Reverence Esports take Kumbu Esports 2-0, with Orangutan able to take Full Power 2-0. That was an incredible game to watch. Followed by Global Esports toppling Team Valor, Reckoning Esports being able to topple Excelli, and with Prime 5 and Enigma Gaming still being played as we speak. Of course, in our conclusive match of the day, we have had just 2-0 gaming. If this was anything to go by, the rest of this tournament is going to be very, very exciting, Sam.
Yeah, it's just the start, and this does tell us, right? There's going to be a lot more that you have to wait and watch out for. I mean, it might be a 2-0, but none of them felt like it was a dominating 2-0.
Yeah,
there were
absolutely.
all matches where teams were trying to bring things back. And now again, you just said, right, where Prime 5 and Enigma were playing the first map, stolen away from Enigma, that was not at all thought, where Orangutan took Prime 5 completely and did eliminate them. It was a complete 3-0 in the grand finals of the rest of South Asian region. So this does tell us, right, every team is right now improving. And the first map, as we were also, first match, my bad, as we were saying, it is about you trying and testing it out of what works better. And right now you saw, right, Union did try, they did get a couple of rounds, but it was just not enough. Now they have a lot of other matches that can play and still qualify for the phase 3. That's going to be the LAN, and that's where it's all the prize. Your chance to the VCT stage 2 is waiting.
You're absolutely right. It is a LAN you do not want to miss. In fact, it's a tournament you do not want to miss. If you want to be able to follow the action, be sure to follow both the Twitch, the YouTube, and maybe even the Twitter. All of them will be linked down below, so you can go check out Skyesports, who are the guys who have made this all possible. Well, Sam, what a day it has been.
Yes. A roller coaster, I would say, right? I mean, we were thinking that things could have come back. But again, the teams we kind of thought could have started off really well and would have played brilliant, they were the ones who would close it out. But again, fate was something that we were surprised for. Whenever it came, the way it played out as well from any of the teams started off when we saw from Full Power's end, Pokemon just played out brilliantly here as well when we saw here in Bind. Both the ends of, I would say, Fate gameplay was good. But again, it is still taking time to get accustomed in that meta as well as the team itself. And I think later down the line, we're going to be seeing some exceptional plays because we're still yet to see all those utilities being dumped and also finding, I would say, a little bit of benefits, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. I think before we take a look at the main scoreboard, I'm going to sort of toss my series MVP out there. I honestly think it'll be Deathmaker. While it was a little bit quieter on Haven, that performance on Bind made up for it entirely. Let's take a look at the scoreboard, though, just to see who it was who was statistically given that MVP.
Yeah, Deathmaker, but... Oh, wait! This is something that we kind of did not think, because Deathmaker, yes, he was popping off with his operator, but MW1, he was moving around everywhere. He was able to go for the backstab as well, and this is where we said it's going to be switching things up. And with 17 kills, he stopped fragging. I mean, right now, I feel like MW1 did not even give Deathmaker the opportunity, right? Most of the times, it was MW1 wrapping those first bloods also under his belt.
Something I want to highlight as well is that it was for MW1, while there was only kind of 1 or 2 rounds where they seriously popped off, it was the fact they were able to be consistent. And that consistency from MW1 is, if he's alive, someone's going to die. And the fact that Velocity were able to rely on that really showed, because, I mean, you look at the scoreline, they're able to absolutely decimate Union there. And it was all thanks to being able to have such dependency on your duelists with them being able to follow it through.
The scoreboard tells you there are 2 players here from Velocity, 273 and 249 on Amaterasu and Deathmaker respectively. And as you rightly said, you were able to rely on your teammates. If MW1 fell, there was Amaterasu to cover him. If Deathmaker fell, there was Right to S or LFF. So there were players who were watching each other's back. On the other end, Chromes, you can see he's the MVP for Union Gaming. He did get 11 kills. Previously, it was a little bit better, but again, it was when things started off. Here as well, Chromes started off very, very well, but later down the line, when we started seeing the first half and we switched to the second half, they had already read what Chromes was doing. But I would have wanted to see maybe a different agent coming in from Chromes, maybe Benj going in for a different one and giving up that Sentinel. The Killjoy coming into play, as you said, the post plans might have been better, but they could not get an opportunity to explore that perspective for a lot, because the defense Velocity took a lot under control. They had already 9 rounds, and that's not easy to make a comeback right after that.
Yeah, I won't lie. I can't help but think that it was I feel like Chamber still did so much better than the Cypher. That was really the thing to highlight. Of course, Sam, you need to remember, why are we here? What is life? Why are we on this planet? I can tell you why you're in this tournament and why you're watching this tournament. It's because everyone is playing for $30,000 in total for the prize pool. First place, they're going to be leaving with $15,000. Second place, third place, and fourth place getting 7.5k and then 3k respectively. With the MVP, best IGL, and emerging player all getting $500 to help them continue their career. Sam, that is a lot of money.
I'll be looking forward to, especially, I mean, we do keep, I would say, talking about the first and the second place, but I'll be looking forward to the individual ones. The IGL MVP and emerging, who's going to be taking it out here at the Skyesports Champions Series? I'm waiting for it. But Kremer, it was one hell of a show today. We had 3 brilliant matches.
Absolutely.
It might have been a 2-0, but it was just wonderful to witness of what they were able to do. And also a new change of pace in terms of the agents coming through, as well as we saw Global bringing in a zero duelist setup. That did, I would say, rattle our minds, as well as, I mean, again, if you bring Chamber into perspective and you say that's a zero duelist, I would still say there's still one duelist that is acting beyond what you can control.
No, you're absolutely right. I have been your caster at Kramer 3. I've been joined by the wonderful Lucifer, also known as Sam. I hope you guys all enjoyed the broadcast. We should be back tomorrow. I want to say the same time. If maybe your producer could correct me. Same time. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. And I believe that will be our consistent start time for the entirety of Stage 2. So we'll make it easy for you. So be sure to follow the channel. Be sure to follow the Twitch as well. And be even better, subscribe to the channel. There's our Twitter in the chat as well.